On behalf of Penrose and the town of Eastham, we want to welcome you to the groundbreaking for the village at Nauset Green, formerly known as Campbell Purcell. We are very pleased you could all join us on this chilly but beautiful day, and it's nice we have this warm heated tent to insulate us from that. This is a very exciting day for us at Penrose and for all of you. This is a really special achievement for ours, and in particular, it's Penrose's first development here in Massachusetts, and we're very pleased that our first development is actually here out on the Cape and with this community. It's been a wonderful job. And so behind me is a beautiful dirt garden that we have now, and the next spring we will have 65 units on that site in 18 buildings and a community building. There'll be a pocket park where you're all sitting right here with some bench racks and a bus stop. And so we're very excited about that, and want to put that as put that on your calendar now for next year to come to the ribbon cutting. We have a very extensive list of folks to thank, as you can see from this program. And as if you took a look at the sign out there, how many folks were involved in really making this happen. It really takes a tremendous amount of support from a wide variety of people, funders, and processes, and we're very appreciative of all that hard work. And so we have a number of speakers, but first I'd just like to say a few words if I could. I understand that this is a long journey for the town of Eastham that began in 2001. And we're just coming in here at the end of that part of it, and we're very proud to be able to help bring this dream of yours to a reality. We were able to respond to an RFP in 2016, and the town, that RFP was fantastic, and it really laid out the vision for what the town wanted to accomplish. And we feel proud that we hopefully were able to fulfill that and to give you a development that's worthy of your town and that's in fitting with that RFP. Penrose is in 15 states in the District of Columbia, and we work with a number of housing authorities and cities and towns, as you can well imagine. But few of those towns have the commitment, the clarity of vision, and really everyone being on the same page that Eastham does. It's been an absolute pleasure to work here. We began this project with Sheila Vanderhoff and continued with Jackie Beebe and the Board of Selectmen, been really successful in helping us get through this. We are very indebted to you and your team and all the hard work here. And one person in particular that I really would like to thank is Paul Lagg. If he's here, if he can stand up. Paul has been the point person on this deal for all things, from permitting, zoning, working with the Affordable Housing Trust, working with the Community Preservation Committee, getting us our sign here at the last minute, which is fantastic. I say we have to have the sign for the groundbreaking. You know, we're not having the groundbreaking without the sign. And so Paul was very helpful in getting that done. So I really appreciate, Paul, and all your hard work. And so at this point, I'd like to ask Jackie Beebe to come up, the town administrator, to say a few words, if she could.
Thank you. I know we have a lot of speakers, so I'm going to try and be brief, but comprehensive, of course. So Ralph Waldo Emerson is credited with saying, "The trees that are slow to grow bear the best fruit." And here today, I think we can all agree, those of us who have been on this long journey, and I've only been the last 5.5 years of it, but on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, Wally Adams, Chair, Martin McDonald, Amy Ekman, and Jamie Rivers, I welcome you today, and I want to give you just a little bit more background than Charlie did. The town purchased this beautiful piece of land for affordable housing 16 years ago. And in the next 12 years after that, we went out to bid several times, but not having town water, we were not able to find a partner to produce our vision. And when town water passed in 2014, it made this possible. It made a lot of things possible for the town of Eastham, and I hope we'll see more fruit being born of that. But with a new Board of Selectmen at that time, new energy, and new staff with town planner Paul Lagg, and tons of energy, we tried again. And we went out to bid in 2016, and Penrose answered the call. And we wanted a lot. We wanted a village style. We wanted quality construction. We wanted a design that would blend seamlessly with all our other neighborhoods. And no problem, right? Someone's going to come along and give us that. Well, we wanted it to look, feel, and be safe and affordable and welcoming. So the winning bidder, Penrose, in the face of Charlie Adams, and now we've met, today we'll meet the face of the president of the company, but we had Charlie, who took the time to really explore Eastham. And Eastham is special for a lot of reasons, but the most special thing is our residents, our people. They're just more committed than any other town I've ever worked for or lived in. He listened. He met with us anytime we wanted to. He responded willingly. And most importantly, they brought their considerable experience and expertise to work to make this vision a reality. And today, this partnership, and it truly is a partnership, has created synergy that brought wings suddenly to a project that was stalled for years. And so within 2 years, we are now standing here today, which is a miracle, Charlie, and thank you. So the reality wouldn't be possible without Penrose, our state funding partners that are here today, investors, our neighbor and community preservation committees in Wellfleet and Orleans, who will speak later, and more importantly, the residents of Eastham, who continue to support the project with their voices, their votes, and their dollars. Many, many individuals have worked on this project over the years, and I can't mention all of them, but I would like to acknowledge a few. Boards of selectmen, past and present, but especially the more recent boards that I've worked with, including Linda Burt, Elizabeth Garin, who's here today, and our senior elder statesman, John Knight, who worked very diligently on this. The planning board, represented by Art Arterino, the zoning board of appeals, especially, who worked so long and hard and had so many meetings and hearings and requests for information and worked with Charlie so well, and your whole team, which was phenomenal to work with. Ed Schneiderhan, the chair, Steve Wasby, Bob Sheldon, Bob Bruns, Ralph Holcomb, Brian Ridgway, and Joanne Verlinden. I want to give a special shout out to you guys. Thank you. The Community Preservation Committee, Peter Wade, chair, you'll hear from him later. The Affordable Housing Trust with Carolyn McPherson at the helm, and especially my staff in planning, Paul Lag, but building, health, DPW, and both fire and police chiefs, who have been for years and will continue to be very, very involved in this project through to completion. And I want to sincerely thank all of you and hope that you're very, very proud of what this becomes. All your work has led to this accomplishment, which is huge for the town. So I think today we can agree with Emerson that the trees that are slow do bear the best fruit, and celebrate patience, perseverance, and the expertise of many, and the fantastic new homes to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jackie. We are very blessed in Massachusetts to have a governor and a legislature who truly understand and value and are committed to provide the resources to make these types of developments happen. And this is not necessarily true in every other state. In particular, we want to thank State Senator Julian Cyr and State Representative Sarah Peake for their dedication and commitment and help in having this come together. Unfortunately, neither one of them could attend. They send their best wishes. But we do have two representatives from each of their offices that are here today. Jeff Soares, are you here? Jeff Soares in the back representing Senator Sears' office. And we have Dorothy Smith from Peake's office. And I'd like to ask Dorothy Smith if she'd come up and say a few words on behalf of the representative and the senator.
Thank you, Charlie. What a great day this is. First of all, I can assure you that if Representative Peake could be here with us today, she would be here. She's taking a well-deserved vacation right now out of the country, and we'll see her in about another week or so. How important it is to have this groundbreaking event today. This has just been a dream for so long and for so many people, and the coalition of energy and people and organizations to make this thing happen. As we know, housing is a critical part of the whole economic structure on the Outer Cape. And this 65-unit multifamily development on 11.2 acres, which, as Jackie told us, was acquired by the town of Eastham a number of years ago, and designated for use as affordable housing, will serve low-income and workforce individuals and families. It will help our young families to live and to thrive here, provide housing for our police, firefighters, teachers, and help to ensure that our towns remain vibrant. In addition to the multiple funding sources from federal and state agencies and banking institutions, additional funding of $1.45 million comes from the town of Eastham's Community Preservation Committee, their Affordable Housing Trust, the Community Preservation Committee. The towns of Wellfleet and Orleans each provided $100,000 towards this project. This is not a standalone situation. This is neighborhoods. Thanks to Penrose and Charlie Adams, Charlie and his team have been in our offices in Boston a number of times over the past year or so, and we've had a great rapport with them. And they are an award-winning developer. I can't tell you how many times I've received emails from Penrose letting us know the latest development that they have been awarded in terms of aesthetics, in terms of building into the community, and most recently, they are also the winner of Training Magazine's 2019 Training Top 125 Companies. That says something about the quality of this organization and how they deal with their employees. So it is a great coup for us to have Penrose with us. And finally, I just want to say thanks not only to Penrose, but to the town of Eastham for moving forward with this housing project and sticking to it for these many years. Our office stands ready to help and assist however possible with this and any project in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorothy, and thank you, Jeff, as well, for being here. Appreciate it. Resources in Massachusetts for housing are in extremely high demand, and no state does a better job than Massachusetts in allocating, leveraging, and maximizing those resources to produce the most housing and the highest quality of housing. Under the leadership of Janelle Chan and Kate Racer, DHCD's team helped us get those resources and get us to the closing that we are here today. Those resources in particular included $10 million in low-income housing tax credits, nearly $4.5 million in state low-income housing tax credits, $2.5 million in a variety of soft sources of funding, and 11 project-based vouchers. We are very appreciative of all the hard work that the DH staff put together in helping us get here, and in particular I want to recognize a few of them. Rebecca Frawley-Wachtel, Carrie Knudsen, Matt Seedell, and Dan Tobin were all instrumental in helping us get to this closing. So we're very appreciative of all the work they have done. And on behalf of DHCD, we have Sue Terry with us here today, who we'd like to say a few words if she would.
Thank you. Oops, sorry. I'm always messing up the microphone. Good morning. It's such an honor to be here representing not only DHCD, but also Undersecretary Chan and the Baker-Polito administration. I'm really lucky to be able to be the one person that gets to come out here and see what's going to be a beautiful, beautiful development when, as Charlie said, a lot of DHCD staffers did a lot of the work to get us here. As the state's primary housing agency, DHCD works to provide quality, affordable housing for all residents of the Commonwealth. DHCD is especially proud to work on community-driven projects like this one. One that this village represents the commitment not only of Eastham, but as we've heard, but of your surrounding neighborhoods, the communities of Wellfleet and Orleans. We're really proud as the Baker administration to welcome Penrose in this really exciting first project that's going to bring 65 units of permanent affordable housing to the Cape. And the administration recognizes that the Cape faces unique challenges. And in response to those challenges, the Baker administration has made investments across Cape Cod. This includes more than $7 million in MassWorks infrastructure funding, nearly $9 million through the Seaport Economic Council, and more than $20 million in direct funding for affordable housing, and even more through the state and federal tax credits. This project represents what the Baker administration has been able to do with those resources, and we're incredibly proud to have been able to support it. The administration is committed to working with communities like yours to help find the housing solutions that are right for you. Our success depends on the success and strength of our communities. Workforce and people who make Massachusetts a dynamic, welcoming, and vibrant place to live, work, and raise our family. This is going to be a place where people can live on the Cape, they can work on the Cape, and they can stay on the Cape. They can be a part of the wonderful Cape community. And we're very proud. Thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of this, and thank you all for the incredible hard work that it took to get here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Mass housing. Mass housing stands alone among state housing finance agencies. Over the past several years, there's been a lot of discussion across the country about workforce housing. But a lot of that has been a lot of discussion. Mass Housing actually acted. They put together a program using their own funds dedicated to serving this underserved population. When the RFP for ESAM first came out, I think my first phone call was to Deb Morris at Mass Housing, and I asked her about this project and about the willingness of Mass Housing to commit. And before I could get to the end of the sentence, she said yes. We were very pleased to be able to do that, as these funds were in particularly high demand, but they wanted to dedicate them to this development and set aside some resources for us. Under the leadership of Executive Director Crystal Cornegay, Deb and her staff, as well as Cindy Lacasse, were very instrumental in helping us get this deal done. And other folks that were involved at the staff level were Michelle Benagera, Kelly Johnson in particular. Mark Teeden was scheduled to be here to speak today. Unfortunately, he had an emergency, family emergency, and couldn't make it. But he does send his regards, and we'll make sure he'll be here for the ribbon cutting. Similar to Mass Housing Partnership was there ready to help. I think this development has had some really unique challenges. Sometimes when we do these developments, we're in a good environment where tax credit pricing keeps going up, interest rates keep going down. That wasn't the case at all for this one. This was a little more challenging. I think since the moment we got our tax credit awards, I think every month the interest rates went up. So a lot of sleepless nights for me to get us to this point. But Mass Housing Partnership was very helpful. They may have been the second phone call I made, perhaps. I don't remember exactly. But I called Nancy McCafferty, and she said, we have this program that's sponsored by HUD, the Federal Finance Board program, and we can set aside some funds for you for that as well. There was a very limited supply of those funds, and we were successful enough to be able to get that allocation. We were very pleased that MHP was able to help us do that. Nancy McCafferty was the person who, as I mentioned, that we dealt with. Nancy had wanted to be here, but unfortunately she got into a car accident. And by car accident, I mean she actually got hit by a car. She's actually fine. She's fine. So I wouldn't have said that if she wasn't fine. But her restriction is that she can't drive this far to the occasion. She was very disappointed she couldn't be here, but she promised me she'd be here for the ribbon cutting, and she wouldn't be here if her doctor didn't tell her she couldn't. The other folks at Mass Housing Partnership, which were very helpful in working on this deal with Nancy, was Amanda Rowe in particular. She was great to work with and very helpful. But in her stead, we have David Rockwell, who's a good friend of mine who I've known for many years, and we've done a lot of stuff with over the years. And I'd like him to say a few words, if he could, about Mass Housing Partnership.
Yes, there are a few people with the energy of Nancy McCafferty, and I think those of you who know her will second that. I talked to her this morning, and she said just what Charlie said. She sure wishes she could be here, but she will definitely be here when the project is ready for its ribbon cutting. And I think most of you know something about MHP, but very quickly I'll make sure that you do understand we use private capital that's mandated out of the state legislation. Most of our money to date has come from banks that are covered by that legislation. And as Charlie mentioned, for this project we did use a HUD program called Treasury Risk Share, which has the benefit in these tough interest rate times of having pretty much the lowest rates available and very long-term amortization schedules. So I think it really did help the economics of this transaction. MHP has devoted quite a bit of its time beyond just our lending work that we do in working on the whole environment of affordable housing and the legislation and the various zoning aspects that control the production of affordable housing. And the example here in these, not just one town, but 3 towns, of promoting a project like this is part of the example that our executive clerk Ziegler would point to as what can happen when towns are able to put forth a project and do the planning and permitting that's necessary to make them happen. There are plenty of places where it's really hard to do multifamily housing because of zoning issues, and the whole housing choice legislation that we've been working on is part of Clark and other people at our office's efforts to do this. But this is a perfect example of why we need to be able to promote these kinds of projects and the great work that the towns have done. We've done a lot of projects that had CPC money in them, but never have there been 3 of them. So, well done. MHP has been very active on the Cape. I just looked up our numbers. We've done something like 36 project financings like this, about $45 million of capital, about 900 units, most of which are affordable, not including this one, so the numbers are going up, I'm happy to say. We're just really pleased to be part of this. We will have a long-term relationship to this project, and Charlie and I started way back when he was in at the Cambridge Housing Authority, and I think we worked really hard on making some really small loans on condominiums, but they were for affordable housing in Cambridge. But we're really happy to be part of Penrose's first project in Massachusetts. We look forward to doing more. But we stand ready to work with you throughout the long term here and make sure this project goes well. Thank you for having us part of this.
Thank you, David. As I mentioned earlier about the town of Eastham, one of the things that I was particularly impressed with is how everybody was on the same page with wanting to make this happen. And I mentioned before the Board of Selectmen, the Planning Board, the Zoning Board of Appeal, everybody was on the same page to make that happen. We were very, very impressed by how that came together, and that was very helpful to us in helping to try to get this vision into reality. And so we have lots of folks to thank for that. And in particular, the folks that were extremely helpful as well on the financial side was the Community Preservation Committee. We actually had to come to them for a couple of times or a couple of allocations, and they were always extremely gracious and generous and really willing to support this project and put their money behind a project that benefited those folks. And so if Peter Wade is available to say a few words, I'd love to invite him up to say a few.
Whenever the Community Preservation Committee gets credit, and they do deserve credit because they're volunteers and we put a lot of time in, but I always like to deflect it to the townspeople of Eastham because really that's where the money comes from, and we're just in charge of looking after it and trying to recommend to town meeting where to best use it. And I think it's safe to say, Charlie, that well, maybe it isn't, but I bet it's pretty close that without community preservation funds, this project may not have been able to for you to been able to put together. Charlie's a magician, so maybe he could have some other way, but it was over $1 million that came from the Eastham Community Preservation Fund, and then of course there was additional that came from the other towns, which was terrific. But I just wanted to shine a little bit of a light on the Eastham Community Preservation Fund, because I know a lot of townspeople aren't really aware of how it works or how much money's involved. So without just loading you with a bunch of statistics, I thought I'd do a little quiz for the Eastham people. So the Community Preservation Program in Eastham started in 2005. So now we're, 13 years in? And take a wild guess, anybody, about how much money, state and local, has come into the Community Preservation Fund, which means has come into our community through the Community Preservation Act in Eastham. Anyone? Come on.
20 million?
20? 10 million. 10? Who said 10? Who said somebody that's on the committee? Bingo. Well, a little more. $10.7 million. And then take a wild guess at how much of that came from the state match. 3.6. These guys are smart. So my idea is to give people a little background when they look at their tax bill and they see that line for CPA tax, which is a 3% surcharge on your real estate tax. And my tax bill, I believe it's $125 a year. Adds up to 10, turns into 10 million, 10.7 million with the state matching funds. So it's quite a program. And then just to finish up, just so you know, the total of that 10 million that's been appropriated for community housing so far is 3.8 million. I think open space got about 4, and then the rest of it was split between active recreation and historic preservation. So just a little background on the CPA program in Eastham, and this is a great example of what I think the people that envision the program, what it could be used for, and how valuable it is to the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. There have been quite a few other champions of this deal, including Carolyn McPherson and Scott Carey. Is he here? There he is. Scott's in the back. It's been very helpful as well to help us get through this process. Carolyn has been extremely helpful to us in having this come together. She's worn a number of hats as chair of the Affordable Housing Committee and also, Affordable Housing Trust, my apologies. And she also serves on the Community Preservation Committee. And at the 11th hour, as interest rates continued to drop and drop, we had one more last little gap. And I called up Caroline and said, would the Affordable Housing Trust be able to help support this deal? And she had me submit an application, and we worked with the committee, and they were very generous in offering their support. And that was the final piece at the 11th hour, to right before we closed. It was extremely helpful. And so I'd like to invite Caroline to come and say a few words if she would.
I'm so excited. I can't stand it. So if I jump up and down, don't be surprised. I just want to thank the town of Eastham. I mean, there are a lot of dignitaries here, and I see some people in the front rows. I think that's great. But the town of Eastham, 2 years ago at the town meeting, trusted the Eastham Affordable Housing Trust to take in and spend money to create affordable housing for our community. Jobs require people, people require housing. If you don't have housing, you don't have people, and you don't have jobs. It's that simple. It's that easy. And so this housing goes to ensure that we're going to be able to do the right kind of economic job development for the small business owners, for the maybe in the future bigger business owners. But we're going to have housing for people who want to live and work and be in Eastham. Eastham also has a growing older population. I just turned 70 this year, so I'm one of those older people. And it's important to recognize how important housing is for the senior population as well. So while we can talk about numbers and big numbers, millions and millions of dollars, I want to bring it back down to the people, the town who supported us in doing this, but also the kinds of people that we're talking about. In Eastham, according to the housing production plan, we have 155 units of housing that we need for people under 80% of the AMI. That's not even counting the workforce housing. 155 units that we're short, okay? So 65, which is wonderful, and I'm so happy it's here, but that's like, what, 30, I can't do the math in my head, 35% of where we ultimately need to be. So hopefully this is the first of many times we're going to be here, having this same kind of discussion. Someone who's at the 80% AMI with a 3-person household could make up to about $60,000. If you think about what that is, that's not a whole lot of money. 2 examples. These are somewhat made up, but they're very real.
Mrs. B lives on Social Security with a total annual income of $28,000. She and her husband lived and worked on the Cape their entire lives, raising kids, supporting the community, being part of the fabric of our community. Fair market rent for a one-bedroom apartment is $1,152 a month. Medical expenses for her $400 a month. That leaves her $781 a month for utilities, food, and transportation. None of us would want our grandmother to have to be able to live like that. She could come and live here at the village at Nauset Green. Another example is Mrs. H. She's a single mom who grew up in Eastham and has 3 kids. She works as a special ed assistant at Nauset Elementary School, making about $15 an hour. She also works on Saturdays cleaning houses during the summer season for a total income of about $35,000. Currently, she and her 3 kids live with her parents in a 3-bedroom house that she grew up in here in Eastham. But as her kids are getting older and bigger, I resemble that, I have 3 grandsons, taking up more space, needing more social activities, her parents are encouraging her to find her own place. Fair market rent for a 2-bedroom apartment is $1,528 a month. Her car payment is $250, and her health care is $225, taken right out of her paycheck, leaving her with about $1,000 a month to feed a family of 4, utilities, any other expenses, much less Christmas presents in a season like this. Affordable housing is real to the people who need it. It's not just a vision for something that looks pretty. It's real for the people who are going to live there, who are going to enjoy it, and it's going to make their lives exceedingly better. Leaders have the vision and conviction that a dream can be achieved. They inspire the power and energy to get it done. The residents of Eastham, the leadership of Eastham, Charlie and Penrose and all the other people who've been talking here, we have the vision, we know what needs to be done. We need to get this project up and running, and then we need to get on to the next 2, 3, 4 projects that we can do here for Eastham for the people who live here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the name of the site is the Village at Nauset Green, and we chose that name for a number of reasons. One of which is that even though the project is located here in Eastham, it is a regional resource for all of the Cape. And as the administration has continued to promote over the past couple of years, the move to regionalization is really important and something that as I said, the administration is advocating for. And on the Cape, you get that, and that's been a hallmark of your work here for a while. And for this particular project, 2 towns in particular really understood that and were very generous. The town of Wellfleet and the town of Orleans, both, as you've heard earlier, provided resources from their own community preservation funds for this development, something that we haven't necessarily seen before, as you've heard from a number of speakers. So we're very appreciative of that. And I'd like to ask Alan McLennan and Jan to come up and speak from those 2 towns, if they would.
Thank you, Charlie. We've heard a lot about history of this project. I want to go back a little deeper. Bear with me. Good afternoon, and I'm honored to be invited to the formal groundbreaking for the village at Nauset Green. As chairman of the Board of Selectmen, and I do double duty, I'm chairman of the CPC also, I live and work in what is now Orleans. Let's share some history for this historic moment. In 1644, the Church of New Plymouth came to the grant of Nauset, which involved land that stretched from the Herring Brook at the Billingsgate, now Truro, to the Monomoyet area, now Chatham. 15 miles of land. The first 7 settlers, Prince, Doane, Snow, Cook, Higgins, Smalley, and Banks, believed that this area could only hold 20 to 25 families. Remember that. In 1646, Nauset was granted to be a township. In 1762, the northern part of the township was set off as a district called Wellfleet. 35 years later, in 1797, the South Precinct was set off as the Township of Orleans. Orleans had to pay Eastham $217.25 to cover a debt. However, all the records, former town records of Eastham, came to Orleans, and we have them, you don't. Finally, this is true today, all the benefits of the shell fishery were to be shared, and they are. Selectmen and town administrators know that if you live in these two towns, you can shellfish in either. Today, collectively, we share Nauset Beach. We share Nauset Estuary, also Nauset Harbor. We share Town Cove. We share Rock Harbor. And we share the county road, Old Kings Highway. Now, as chairman of the Board of Selectmen from the former South Precinct of Nauset, and representing current residents of Potawatomi, Monomoying Bay, Nauset, Quesquiogasset, and Pochit, I am honored to be part of another sharing venture, the new affordable housing units of the village at Nauset Green, located in the original grant of Nauset in 1644. We thank our partners, the leaders of Wellfleet, Eastham, and the Community Development Partnership, and Penrose. We all work together to deal with the regional housing problem. Together, we have created the first new affordable housing complex in the Lower and Outer Cape. Successful partnerships make a difference. And I want to close by saying that there are 3 communities involved in this undertaking. We're involved in the town of Orleans currently in Cape Cod Village, which is a special development for 15 autistic adults. And if you don't know, when you have an autistic child, when they reach the age of 25, their training is over. This Cape Cod Village is going to solve that problem, and there are 6 communities on the Outer Cape that are participating in that project. So regionalism makes a difference. Thank you.
At this point, I would say everything that needs to be said has probably been said. I'm Jan Plowey. I'm Vice Chair of the Wellfleet CPC. And I want to say that I am very privileged on behalf of Wellfleet to be part of this project. I'm also very proud of the citizens of Wellfleet who voted for this project, because we don't have a huge heap of money in our CPC. We're a small town, and we only have about $500,000 to spend each year, and we put $100,000 into this project. So I think it's just a credit to people who can be provincial in these little towns, who see that this is a community development for everyone. And I'm very, very pleased that we were able to say yes to the project. And I hope that maybe sometime in the future, the Eastham CPC can come and offer some help to Wellfleet when we get a project going.
That may be the best line all day right there. All right, we're almost done. We're going to call up Tim Hinkle shortly, our Senior Vice President of the company, but I would certainly be remiss if I didn't talk about some other people that are all, most of them are standing in the back, that I need to recognize, or I want to recognize. First and foremost, I want to recognize Carmen Chung. Carmen, if you could stand up. Carmen Chung we worked together, the Boston office, and she was all things Eastham. She guided and shepherded this deal all the way to closing. And I don't know if you got a chance to see the sign, but there are no less than 11 funders on this project. And I guarantee they all had, each of them only had 1 or 2 questions, so it was pretty easy to get through that. Rio Sacchetti, if you can wave your hand, Rio. Rio is brand new to us. Rio is not brand new to the business, but he's brand new to us, and he's going to be working on this project going forward. Rio has an excellent background, and we're very excited that he's joined us, and he'll be working on this going forward. Katie Redan and Lee Reedy are in the back. They're the folks that put all this together with the kids and the refreshments. And then our team, our design team. So we have some folks from TAT, Mike and Ed and Andrew are back here. TAT, they do wonderful design and management. Portley Witten is our civil engineer, and the wastewater treatment plant, which that was an easy part of the job, right? No problems there. NEI is a phenomenal contractor we've done a lot of work with, and we're very excited to have them. And they're standing up in the back, and I told them they got about 5 minutes, and they got to get back to work. We also, Klein Hornig was our attorney. Jacob's here as well, and he kept us all together on the closing. The people that also don't always get recognized up here to get a chance to speak are some of our funders. If you notice, I want to especially call your attention to the program. There's still some folks here that we didn't, and we do have some folks here. I see Mark Gronemeyer is here from Hunt Capital. They provided the equity, $9 million of equity. Bob Dorfman, I don't see him. Bob did state tax credit equity, which is about another 2.5 million. Blue Hemp Capital is the ones that actually loaned that for the deal. So we're very appreciative of them. And then Bank of America provided the construction loan that'll convert to the permanent debt for this job as well. I don't know if we have anyone from Bank of America here, but we're very appreciative of their work. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tim, and he'll close us out. Oh, and just to make sure you get a chance to come up and look at these site plans, you'll actually see what will happen on the site up there.
So either on the grand finale or the thunder's all been stolen. Either way, I'm often last, and I just do my best to get us all off our chairs and on our way. But I'll just pick up on some of the themes. I mean, one of the things that happens at a groundbreaking when a lot of effort has been put in, and there still is no tangible product to look at other than cleared land and beautiful sunshine, is that it's hard. Development is hard work. And so as the guy who comes sweeping in here at the end and gets to meet a whole bunch of people, know that I recognize that, and know that I recognize all the hard work that's gone into it. It's really, really important. And so I wanted to call some attention to that, and Jackie, I think you were alluding to that a little bit when you talked about the many projects that we've done, and it's nice to be recognized for the impact we've had in lots of different communities, but it makes us sound like a big company that can't possibly activate locally. And I would call attention to our team. We're a very locally oriented development company. We develop locally in lots and lots of places, but we develop locally. And so we understand very clearly that our success will not be measured here today because we had a closing and cleared some land. But in the future, when we're your neighbors, when you're your stakeholders, and when we're holding a bunch of residents and we have employees who are working from this neighborhood, and that's when we'll know, and that's when you'll know that the guy who was here that day was committed to that outcome, and we very much are. So thank you for trusting us with our first Massachusetts project, which is obviously a very important milestone for us, and we've committed to that. And so announcing that Rio is here and is a new employee for us is a measure of our commitment, not just to this town and this project, but to the many more, hopefully, that will come here in Massachusetts. We feel very welcome, and I appreciate that. So thank you for your trust. It is also a people business, and I think it's important. Dot, I think you recognize that we just had a little training milestone that was announced, and believe me, there are some marketing communication people here in this audience who are going to take that home as a little trophy that you not just heard it but mentioned it. But it's a way, fortunately, that social media allows us to introduce ourselves, try and characterize ourselves so that people can understand who we are and how we operate before we suddenly arrive. And that seems to have worked. But we appreciate the trust that you've placed in us. And I do need to acknowledge Charlie and Carmen because they are operating locally. It's clear from what I've heard here today that they have given you every bit of themselves and will continue to do that, and that is who we are. Now, the other reason we know that Charlie's one of us, meaning a Penrose one of us, is when he showed up with his 11th source of funds on this project, which is unfortunately something of a hallmark for Penrose in that we will add the complexity that comes with layered financing, the additional financing sources, so that we can maintain the vision that the project was in the future. So there is another opportunity. You could say, came close enough, we're going to go back to town, tell them the thing they wanted they can't have, it's too expensive, we just can't manage it, and stop there. That's not what we do, that's not what Charlie has done and Carmen have done here, and we pledge that in the execution of the completed project and the management of it, that we'll hold true to those values as well. So I'm just really excited to be here. I'm really enthusiastic about what I've heard here today, the things that I thought I knew that I definitely know now. And Carolyn, I think you've said some very special things about the way we can cooperate and coordinate to get things done. All of you obviously have referenced these things. So thank you everybody. Please enjoy some refreshments. If I could ask people who have spoken and who are funders, come on outside and grab the warm end of the shovel. And we have refreshments in the back for everyone to participate in. Thank you.